A lot of things have changed over the years when it comes to regulations on what you can do to your car and the regulations on the products that you use in the car. And where I'm going with this is engine oil and the way that the mythical ZDDP has disappeared. And Ed Justice here obviously knows a thing or two about the chemicals used in engines and cars.
And I know about the mythical ZDDP too.
Well, tell me about this, because the story that we all heard was that ZDDP used to be an additive in petroleum engine oil products, and then it was ruled bad, and then it disappeared, and then people were having problems with camshafts going flat and bad lubrication and whatnot.
Right.
And now we've got, what do we do?
Well, ZDDP was a good ingredient that was in motor oils, and you would find it in some additives. Okay, and really, it's one of those things. What Joni Mitchell said: sometimes you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah, right.
All right, you know, pave another parking lot type of thing, and that's really the truth. That's one of the things that people didn't realize how important ZDDP and other additives that are in motor oil were to the performance of their car. So, you know, you got your old flat tappet type cars, etc., and you pull this out for environmental reasons, which is based on, you know, what it would do is actually would contaminate the catalytic converter.
Okay.
And so the phosphorus, the zinc diol, phosphate, etc., and all that. So they pull it out. Well, like a lot of things that are being done environmentally, it doesn't necessarily mean it's better.
Sure.
It's better for this or that, but not maybe better for the car or performance. We've got an additive that we make, and it is absolutely an excellent ZDDP replacement. This is better than ZDDP, and it's actually doesn't have any environmental problems. So it's a win-win thing. This is one of the few times that I know of where we have a replacement product that works better and actually is better for the environment and everything on that. So everybody's happy, you know, and I mean, and I'm happy we can do that. So we sell a lot of that to the guys with the older cars. You know, there is a benefit to newer cars too, even though, you know, it's the old deal. Well, you don't need this, you know, if you got a roller tappet type deal or whatever.
Right.
Look, anytime you reduce friction, it's a good thing. Because friction creates heat, and heat is the worst thing your engine has to deal with. You know, it's like on this Bonneville car here. These guys, they've got bearings setting over here that are, oops, these are from before they used our product. And I don't know if you can see it, you know, on the video when it comes across the web. And this is after our product, but if you were here, Kevin, you can honestly see the difference there.
Well, yeah, this looks, you know, like a used bearing.
Right.
And this one has a nice clean crosshatch, and it doesn't have any of the galling and scarring marks. Now, these came out of the same engine?
Came out of this motor. It's a Chrysler, and or I mean a Chevy. I'm sorry, Chevy, a blown Chevy, and they were throwing bearings on this this car right and left. They use our additive, the engine treatment. They put in 2 bottles because they run 13 quarts of oil. Okay. So, you know, a little bit more than double what the average car does. And they run 2 bottles in here. They just double up the product for the treat rate. And they haven't had a bearing problem since. And this is far more extreme than what you or I are going to face on the street. Sure. So you got, the reality is you have a cushion, you have a margin of error that you're going to have for a street vehicle, whether it even be a high performance or just a collectible car. So it's a big thing, and you know, I mean, I have people all the time, whether they come in our museum at our headquarters in Duarte, because most of the people that come in there are real car lovers, and they either own an old car or their friend owns an old car or a collectible car. And I get that question so much about what do I do for ZDDP, because you know, you got your car, you don't want to be repairing it. You know, I mean, it's an investment.
And the risk, you know, when that ZDDP went away, you know, like I was saying, especially if you just built an engine, that initial startup, you know, it was wiping out camshafts left and right. You know, so tell me the applications of when we should use your additive.
All the time. You know, I mean, you know, the old deal is, well, don't put it in when you break in the motor. You hear this, I want it to seat in and all. That's when the engine gets the most wear. You know, it's good to use from the day one, and it's good to use till the end, 100,000 miles or 10,000 miles. Plus, the other thing the engine treatment gives you is it will increase the horsepower.
Sure.
Because of lack of friction. And I mean, Dyno Test proven. Yeah, I'd love to have you do a Dyno Test sometime. Really,
okay. We'll put it to the test.
They actually even put it in an AMC motor, one of those old 400, what,
401s?
401s, that's it. And actually got an increase in horsepower after they were running Joe Gibbs break-in oil. I mean, they had done everything they could to make this engine develop as much horsepower. We were the last guy to the party. Okay, it's like, hey, I'm coming to the party. Hey, you're a little late. Well, you know, that was when we got the invitation. They threw it in. They still got more horsepower with our product.
Really? Okay. Well, next time we do a little
break-in oil is like somewhat of a, you know, that's the old deal that the racers use. It's not cheating, but it was the old secret. You run break-in oil when you're qualifying, because it's such thin viscosity, you get less fluid friction is the term for that. And you're not going to necessarily run that on the street, you know what I mean? But it's the old trick to really up the horsepower. So, you know, I mean, it's one of the last things you can do to up the horsepower, and we still beat even with that.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
we'll check into that.
Good.
You know, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, you guys sponsor so many different racers. You know, we're existing in a slightly tighter times right now. How's the racing sponsorship program going? You still standing behind these guys? How's it, you know, what's the deal?
Absolutely. No, we didn't cut any sponsorships. I hate to say that some are not with us anymore because the program ended.
Sure. It's not cheap to race.
No, exactly. Yeah. But we didn't cut any. Our company, we're with everybody that wanted to be with us, you know, that was on the program. And, you know, a lot of those are long time, like Coletta Racing and drag racing. We've been with those guys, gosh, maybe 20 years.
Wow.
Prudhomme, we've been with Snake Racing and Don Prudhomme, and now Spencer Massey. They just won this last weekend up here at Las Vegas. Big victory. They're looking for a new sponsor, you know, major sponsor.
Sure.
So they, you know, they're facing the challenges that a lot of teams are, but you know, the need for our products and what they do for those cars and how they reduce the operating expense and improve the performance, it will always be there, good economy or bad economy. And, you know, I mean, our racing roots are just part of our history. It's our DNA, you know. You know, my dad and my uncles came out of building race cars, and they were metal fabricators, hands-on type of guys. And I don't think it would be right for us to ever leave racing. I mean, it just, you know, I always look at some of the big car companies, and there's been a couple in Detroit that have followed this. They get some new leader in, and he goes, hey, I like racing. So now they're all behind it. Then another leader comes in, and he goes, this racing's a waste of money. So now they're not behind it.
Yep.
They've never really had a real reason why they were there other than the big guy likes it or the big guy doesn't like it. At us, it's always been the same thing. It's, you know, we started the company, my dad and my uncles, with the sale of a midget race car, you know, which is the same type of race car that Tony Stewart started in, Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, others. It used to be the road to Indianapolis. And that's how we got started, was by the sale of a race car. So how could I ever turn my back on our roots? Well, you got to remember where you came from.
That's right, and I think it's fantastic because you know, the racers, they're earning it. You know,
absolutely,
it's a brutal lifestyle.
Totally.
And these guys do need the support because we get a lot of innovations, we get a lot of fun, we get a lot of cool stuff that happens with racing.
Hey, I love racing. Brian Williams, the anchor on NBC News, is a huge racing fan. And he said one time that he said if they were running a couple school buses out in a circle, I'd go show up. I'm with him.
That's right.
I don't care. You know, I mean, I believe in the deal. When was the first auto race? When the second car was built.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, cool.
And that's exactly right. People that are watching this or that want to find out about it, they can come to our website at justicebrothers.com or jboil.com. That's less keystrokes.
Sure, right.
You know. Or jb80.com. You're very familiar with our JB80. It's a legendary product. And they can go to the website, email us, and we'll put them in touch with either a distributor or a retailer in their area, or if we don't have somebody in their area, they can probably buy it from us straight from the company. And so we can get them the product. That's not a problem.
Great. Awesome.
All right.
Well, listen, Ed, it's always a pleasure.
Same here,
You're
Kevin.
one of those guys I can stand here and BS with all day. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming by and taking advantage of seeing the car and all. It's really great.
Have a great show, man.
All right. Thanks a lot.